The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps to cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello, welcome to Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. How are you guys tonight? I am streaming live on the R.I.F.T Radio Network Nation. Whoops, that was a slip. Whoops, R.I.F.T Nation. Whoops, R.I.F.T Radio Network. We are streaming live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Twitch. I hope you guys are doing well tonight. I'm your host, Joni Skinner, for another show of Mysteries, where we combine forensic astrology with the missing victims of horrific crimes and see what the astrology gives us some insight. It's called forensic astrology, where we use timestamps. And then we can map out areas where we can try to locate missing persons, which is very, very successful with that. So I hope you guys are doing well tonight. Tonight we have a story on Kayla Hamilton, another, if you all recalled, we covered Rachel Morin's case a lot on the channel prior to her perp being caught. And we also showcased Kayla's story at one point. But because I kept hearing about Maryland man, and I didn't hear anything about Maryland victims. So next week, I'm going to showcase the third victim from Maryland, because I think it's only fair. Nobody is talking about Rachel Morin's story. Nobody is covering Kayla Hamilton's story, and that's a crime. That's a crime for our young women out there. So tonight we're going to do Kayla's story. You may have remember it. We covered this when this happened. So let's check out the chat. I hope you guys are doing well. Hello, Miss Lee and Miss Linda. Thanks for sharing, Linda. Please don't forget to share and hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. Hello, Miss Tammy, Miss Denise. How are you? I hope you guys are doing well tonight. Welcome. Come on in. It's a good Wednesday, isn't it? I just wanted to also let you know about 70 additional documents from the Epstein files were dropped today. So I will cover those. I'm gonna do that next week, Tammy. There were 2 little ones that just went missing in Nova Scotia. I'm on that one. That'll be next week as well. And our 3rd victim from Maryland. So I'll be on that one. So just to update, we have the Diddy trial. Oh, I don't even want to listen to it anymore. They're only on jury selection, and I'm already like burnt out. We know what happened. We know. We don't want to hear it, but I'll keep you guys updated, because I'm really burnt out on it already, and it's just jury selection. So we've got that going on. We had 70 pages of Epstein dropped. And if you guys think back to last week when we had the show, and I showed some, we had it on Virginia, who had passed away in Australia. And I did some of the famous people that have been named in that particular case. We looked at 2 male charts last week. And I got to be careful with the names, but one was Willie. And I said, this chart is about to get whacked. This transit chart of Slick Willie is about to get whacked. Well, the new documents, okay? The new documents that just dropped, and they just dropped. Guess who's named all over those documents? Remember what I told you last week about Willie? Slick Willie is all over the new documents. And his wife. So I'm going to take a look at her chart this week. Pull that up. Hello, Miss Carrie. How are you, hon? Thank you for joining. I am already tired of the Diddy case. Me too. I'm glad. I am so glad that federal cases are not televised. I just couldn't handle it. I'm already over it. And it's jury selection. Do you know how many attorneys he had in court with him? Slick Willie? Or not Slick Willie, Slick Diddy? 8. Had 8. And he had one of my really favorite attorneys of all times show up, and his daughter is actually representing Diddy. And if she's any kind of an attorney like her daddy is, Diddy's got some good legal counsel. Probably the best money can buy is Mark Garagos. I adore him. He is a phenomenal attorney, Mark Garagos is. So he's on their side. They better look out. You've got 9 really good attorneys. So nothing is a done deal. Nothing is a done deal. It's in New York. They're known to be lenient. So we're going to have to watch and see. We're going to have to wait and see. So, and we will cover the Nova Scotia case as well, Tammy. I know there's 2 little ones missing. 2 little ones are missing there. So I'll map that too. I don't know if anybody knows any of the searchers up in that area in Nova Scotia. I did have a case up there, and I had to talk to the police up there, and they spoke with a French accent, which I find just French is the prettiest language. And I was getting lost when he was talking to me because I was just listening to that beautiful accent, you know. And oh, whoops, I got to get back on the case. So except, but they were in New Brunswick. I don't think that's near Nova Scotia, but I'll have to look. So hi, Keith. Thanks for sharing this out. Okay, you guys, let's get started. I think that's all the true crime info we've got. Yeah, that's all the true crime info that we've got of any of the cases. So I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for tuning in. This is Kayla Hamilton's story. Like I said, I'm going to focus on the Maryland victims. All we heard was Maryland man, and boy, Maryland man turned out to be exactly what I told y'all he was, because I knew it. This isn't your life, and you don't know the stuff that they're up to, because you do. You see it too much. And now we've got the man that was driving the great Maryland man's van. He's in prison right now because he was a smuggler. He talked to the feds and said, well, yeah, I was paying him to smuggle people. So he routed out Maryland man, this great, wonderful father. So, but we all knew that. We knew it. We've been around this too long. We know it. So here's Kayla's story. Kayla was a 20-year-old young lady and she moved to Aberdeen, Maryland. Young girl, job, just moved in with her boyfriend. And she moved into the area and was living in a shared mobile home. You know, where the kids will share, kind of roommates. Had roommates. So her boyfriend had an undocumented immigrant, 16 years old, from El Salvador as a roommate. So Kayla had worked the night shift, and there's Kayla's beautiful mother. She's an angel mom, such an advocate. She is just very brave. She is the strongest angel mom advocate. Kayla's mom. And there's Kayla again. She had worked the night shift. Well, when her boyfriend went to work, she went to bed. Well, the roommate, monster, and I'm not going to even say his name because he's a monster. 16 years old, undocumented, unvetted, came in and strangled her, SA, and she was unalived. Beautiful young lady. Now, what had happened is she had tried to phone her boyfriend when this all started. So her phone was on record. It went to her boyfriend's voicemail. The entire attack and everything was recorded on her boyfriend's phone. So he didn't pull up the voicemail. He came home at 5 o'clock and found her unalived. Now, he also found the monster walking down the street away from the home. So he saw him, and of course, police were called in, investigation, and he was a suspect from the get-go. Well, because they had films of him walking, and they also had the voicemail. They had the voice message. So they knew it was him. What I find it very hard to believe, it took them 6 months, 6 months to arrest him. So in the meantime, he went and enrolled in high school after her unalive. He enrolled in a high school. 6 months for the Maryland police in Aberdeen to arrest him. He was not arrested until January of 2023. In 2024, he went in front of a jury. Did he? Yeah. And no, wait, no, I think he pled out. Let's look. 70 years in jail. Now, her mother had come out, and like I said, her mother is a tiger, and I just admire her strength, because I don't know how many mothers could listen to that kind of a tape and be able to even talk about this. But she said, had Homeland Security done their job, and it was not a hard job to do, lift up his shirt, there was the gang symbols, a phone call to El Salvador, he's on the list, and Kayla would be alive. The murder happened just 4 months after he illegally entered the U.S. Now, what happened in the meantime, while this 16-year-old was in custody, he mailed out a letter. And of course, the jail intercepted they read all your letters. Not only did they find out he was an MS-13 gang member, he said that he had unalived 4 other people and committed 2 additional essays. This is a 16-year-old. What's the beautiful thing about this? Her mother is now suing the federal government for $100 million, and I hope she gets $500 million. Because had they done their jobs, her daughter would be alive. And what mother wouldn't sue the government for this? What mother wouldn't do it? So, strangled her on July 27th. It is horrific. Hi, Michelle. And like I said, Lee, 6 months. And in that 6-month interim, he enrolled in high school. He enrolled in school after unaliving his roommate's girlfriend. I hope she gets that plus some. They'll settle out. You know they're going to settle, but I wish it would go in front of a jury. I wish a jury would hear that. Punitive damages. I would go as high as I could go. I hope she gets every dime. You know, it certainly doesn't pay for Kayla or what happened, but boy, oh boy. So he is in jail for 70 years. There's a detainer on him because if they say they get 70 years, what are the odds he might get out? 16? He does what? 10 years? They are going to come back and get him immediately. He's out of here. So let's keep our eyes on him so that he doesn't get out on our streets again. 4 other people were unalived and 2 additional essays, which makes 3 essays at the age of 16 and an MS-13 member. So let's look at this chart, her chart. God love her heart. It's all over the event chart. Kayla is the like the neon blue. So the ascendant is Sagittarius. That ruling planet is Jupiter. So the one blue arrow at the bottom shows Jupiter. Guess where? At home. Yeah, she was at home. She's also the moon up in the 8th house, which is when we see the 8th house, that can signify a death house. Okay. He is a Mercury. He is Mercury. It's really technically the 9th house. If we did a whole sign, that would be a foreign person. Mercury, foreign person, the green. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the chart. I circled in purple Neptune in the neighborhood. 3, the third house is in the neighborhood. Video in the neighborhood. And what I want to point out is in the 5th house, which is, this really struck me. When Mars and Uranus, they were together. If you see them and they're circled, okay, that is a horrific, violent crime with Mars on Uranus, and it's an attack. So this was a horrific crime, and which that, you know, let's face it, they all are. But when Mars and Uranus are together, it is a shocking, horrendous crime. And her mother stated that it went on for about 2 minutes, two and a half minutes. So, you know, it's just a shame. But, you know, I want to get Kayla Hamilton's story out there because, like I said, all of this media attention went to Maryland man. Maryland man, great Maryland father. Well, we have found out he was a human smuggler. 3 DVOs on him, 2 deport orders, and another no-show at an appeal. So when they, and let me tell you something that the press is really playing up to this, and the politicians. All they say is due process, due process, due process. Let me explain something to everybody. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm a paralegal, but I'm not in immigration courts, but I am in a workers' comp court. So if I commit a crime and I am charged criminally, I get in the Constitution what is called due process. I have a jury amongst my peers. That is due process in the Constitution. If okay, for example, this monster, he was arrested for a crime, criminal. He received due process under the law because he was on American soil. If you are an undocumented immigrant, you go to immigration court. The district and federal judges that are ruling on all of these cases, and the Supreme Court just upheld this, those judges do not have jurisdiction. These go to immigration judges. What's an immigration judge? It's a lawyer that works for the DOJ that's a judge. That's how our court system works. That's where they get their due process. He was in front of an immigration judge twice. 2 deportation orders were filed. He did an appeal on one, and guess what? He was a no-show. So he had over 2 appearances at least, and the third time he was a no-show. So he had a deportation order on him. Secondly, in the opinion, and this is really what gets to me because I read the opinion and I read the order, he was not to be deported to Guatemala. Guatemala is where the family moved to, and they encountered a gang that harassed them and wanted money. The deportation order was that he could not be deported to Guatemala, not El Salvador. So that just tells you everything that the media said was so untrue. All this due process, he had it under the immigration system, and the Supreme Court said, federal judge in California, this is not your jurisdiction. You have to take this to Texas. This is a Texas case. It is an immigration case. That would be like you get hurt and you go see a workers' comp judge, and your district court judge, which is a criminal judge, tries to intervene into one of our cases. It's not their jurisdiction. So when you hear stuff, be very mindful, especially legal issues. They're not telling the truth. You can look it up, look up immigration courts, look up immigration administrative law judges. It's all there. Same thing with us, with workers' comp. Another one, if you have, I'll give you another example, an unemployment hearing. You don't go in front of a criminal or a district or a circuit judge. You go in front of a referee or an ALJ or a hearing. Same things with Social Security judges. You have a Social Security hearing. It is held in the jurisdiction of the Social Security areas of the government. They're judges, and they have immigration offices are all over the country. They're all over the country. He was a no-show. He didn't show up. If you don't show up for a hearing, you're deported. So they had every right to send him where they sent him. So I just wanted to say that, because if I hear due process anymore, and being in the legal business for 20 some plus years, I'm going to scream. There were three, Linda. There were three. And the last one, there were 3 domestic violence orders. And now they have also released the audio where she contacted and spoke to the judge and begged the judge to get her some help because he was so violent. Begged him. So this is your Maryland man that they were sticking up for. Who are they sticking up for? Why are they sticking up for these criminals? I don't, it's just so frustrating. And I cannot imagine how Kayla Hamilton's mother feels, how frustrated she should be. When the senator in Rachel Morin's district, and this, I'm not sure about Kayla's district, went to El Salvador, and Rachel Morin's mother has never received a phone call from that senator on Rachel's horrific unaliving. So don't listen to these people. Don't trust them. Look up everything they say. They're lying. So I just want to shout out to all the angel moms and their angels, because we love the moms. You know, these moms have gone through so much, and it just really, my Aries rising gets so mad that they were flying down to El Salvador after a thug, when we've got girls that are such victims that senator didn't even call Rachel Morin's mother. If I was in his district, boy, he would get a phone call from me. I wanted to show you guys some stats on the missing children as well. This is hard to believe. This bothered me all week when I researched this. You guys know I've been screaming about this for 4 years, and I know Keith knows it. Keith knows I've been screaming about this. I don't shut up about it. If the feds would have done their job, yeah, not right. No, it's not right. And what's not right is for people that are supposed to represent us in government going down there and flying to get these thugs out of jail. Well, they weren't allowed. And I'm going to show you this. I am going to show you, and we've got a statement, Linda, from a whistleblower that's going to blow you away. They weren't allowed to do their jobs. This is what is so mind-boggling the more you dig into this. So in 2020 to 2024, we had this is approximate. This is from the IG report. The Inspector General, which is a neutral government agency, they do reporting. 160,000 crossed monthly, 15,000 daily, 11 million they're estimating, but as high as 20 million. Chinese nationals crossed at 1,000% higher rate. The cartels made $13 billion in the smuggling trade. 1 in 5 children are trafficked. Now, they use social media. And the flights to the U.S. from Venezuela, 30,000 per month, you guys, were flown directly into the U.S., 360,000 a year to interior airports throughout the U.S. that we paid for. They were flown directly into the U.S. to bypass ICE. They were flown into our private airports. Okay? Look at this. Now, I marked on their COVID. These are the unaccompanied children that came across the border. They were not with their parents. Look at that. If you look at the last 2020, 2021 is the red one, 22 and 23, 24 was just as high. So it went from 60,000, 20,000 to 120 to almost 130,000 children a year. Okay? Now, mind you, these children were getting DNA tests when they were coming through the border, just to make sure that they were not being sold. Where are the children? Remember, I've been complaining about the DNA testing? A key deterrent, Biden administration, they ended the DNA testing at the border, which would have been a key to preventing the fraudulent entry of many immigrants and mitigating child trafficking. And the memo was obtained by Just the News. It was an executive order, by the way. The DNA testing was originally implemented in the Trump era and utilized to help, to alleviate trafficking, because you had to be with a family member to bring an underage child. This is a picture of the Darien Gap. The Darien Gap. There we go. That's what came to our borders. Look at that. Open borders and children with, okay, look at this. All over the internet, all you have to do is look, and people filmed it. I know JLR was down at the border all the time. The gates were wide open. Now, where were the Border Patrol? The Border Patrol was busy trying to get people through the door. If you think about it, 30,000 people a day, and there are videos that I couldn't play here from the Border Patrol saying, we knew this was happening. There was nothing we could do. We were told to bring them in. Just like Mr. Maryland Man, the FBI told the Tennessee State Police or Tennessee Highway Patrol to let him go. The FBI, let him go. Why? So now they cannot account. Now, this was the IG report at the end of 2024. They could not account for 325,000 unaccompanied minor migrant children. 32,000 had court dates. They did not appear for their court dates. There's more than 291,000 who were placed into removal proceedings. Where are they? 350,000. Here's your whistleblower, you guys. Whistleblower came forward at a congressional hearing and stated that she had interviewed children that will haunt her for the rest of her life. She believed the children were being teed when she did a background check on the alleged sponsors of the children who had crossed into the U.S. She told a supervisor about that, and her access to the background check database was terminated. At the congressional roundtable, children were being teed with billions of taxpayer dollars by a contractor failing to vet sponsors and process children. They were not allowed to do their jobs. She stated that they reported making a 911 call after hearing someone scream for help. She raised that concerns about contractor failures, and don't ask for that anymore. This was the whistleblower that came forward to Congress. You can watch her testimony online. Now, this was a Homeland Security meeting about where were the children. At a House Homeland Security hearing, a whistleblower revealed DHS was sending, get this, $60 million every 2 to 3 months to an NGO. What do you know? NGO that was to help facilitate migrants with taxpayer money. There we go, NGOs. So the NGOs provided the buses. Catholic Charities quadrupled what they were getting. It was like up to $500 million. Here we go. Now, I want you guys to check this out. This is down in the deserts of Phoenix and in Texas, down by the border. Wiggins Wild World, they are a couple that moved off and wanted to live off the grid. So they would go out and they'd film, and they were doing wonderful stuff, and they were looking for a water source for, to go live off the grid. They, on their property, came across backpacks, all the same kind of backpacks. Shoes, they were all children's shoes. They couldn't really get any help. And there were hundreds of these backpacks, hundreds, all pink and purple. Well, we know that the NGOs were giving welcome packs and welcome bags and welcome backpacks, hundreds of these. They have since left their area because they're just appalled. They did find what they felt was a femur bone and turned it into law enforcement, but they were told much later that they were animal bones. Hundreds of backpacks, children. It's all children. They said it's all children's stuff, children and women's. So this to me is probably an area which would be either a pickup area or a zone that they need to get some dogs in there. I'm telling you, this is going to be a night. Here we go. Now, this is going on right now, which is absolutely phenomenal. We have what is called Operation Restore Justice going on right now. A High Point, North Carolina man was arrested with one of the second leading international child exploitation rings, was taken down. They got him. They got him. There were two of them. That was an international, the second one. And then today, the AG announced 200 predators last week were arrested. And we had now the different FBI field offices. We had Omaha, Nebraska, identified 15 victims from 1,000 images online. And so we've got Operation Restore Justice. It's a powerful, powerful message. And, it's wonderful that they're doing this. So kudos to the FBI that they are out there arresting these offenders. It is great. They arrested 2 predators last week, but the big thing was this High Point, North Carolina guy. Really violent online stuff with children. He was he's arrested. FBI Omaha, and it's a 5-day operation. So we're going to see more, and you can get it online. The FBI is posting everything that they're getting. So I am so excited that at least this is going on. We've got to, and what is happening now, every one of the NGOs needs to be prosecuted. Absolutely. They have been defunded. So the money's not coming in. They are working factories. Well, and this High Point, North Carolina was snuff. and dark web stuff. So you can imagine what has been going on. There's 350,000 missing. Love that operation. Oh, this is going to be what they found up in Canada. It's going to be in the desert. It's going to be horrific. It is going to be, but I think people need to be aware that this has happened, and it happened under the guise of NGOs that were making millions and millions of dollars of our money that were facilitating this. They were wide open. The Border Patrol could not do their job. There are too many whistleblowers. They were allowing this. RFK Jr. said, "We have ended HHS as a principal vector for child teeing." That has ended. So this is what they have found so far. 7,120 benefit fraud records, identifying fraud in all of the records. And what had happened is when they would come across you guys, they were given full medicals. They were given, and if especially they had the app on their phones, they didn't have to have appointments. They used an app on their smartphones. They would be given medicals. They were given food stamp cards, and money and hotels. So they were given benefits to come here. So you cannot blame a lot of the people, and of course, the cartels brought in massive amounts of drugs and trafficking. They made billions. But your normal everyday family, they were getting money to come here. We know that now. They had Social Security numbers. They were getting money. So 7,120 benefit fraud records, those have been cut out. So they're going through this stuff and getting rid of it. So let's see. And they're also monitoring social media, which is wonderful. Yeah, what's great is the FBI has now gone back to their field offices. So they're working out of their field offices, catching the bad guys, and boy, it's showing. That's a big hub, Keith. I-80 is the biggest highway. Yes, it is. It's one of them. It is one of them. It's just horrendous what has occurred here. And it's horrendous. It's bad. Hi, Lisa. So, hi, Kristen. How are you, hon? I think it's important that people be aware of everything that. Hi, Gabby. Hi, Ashley. Thank you for tuning in. That I think it's super that we know that it just wasn't people, because they're getting them. People are finding stuff in the desert. They're on this. I am so thrilled that DNA testing is finally back. And the border's like 99% secured right now. They are just not getting in. So at least that will, some of our angel moms can at least know that the borders are what's in here still, that they got to get out. We got to get them out. But we'll see. They need doctors, make sure they're healthy, because a lot of we're going to use is, yes, absolutely they are. And a lot of people don't. Thank you, Tammy, for that. That's the issue here too as well. And Tammy knows it. Tammy is search and rescue. She's been around this for decades. She's been in law enforcement. She's a private eye now. There's a lot of harvesting too as well that went on. So it's just horrific. I think it's the beginning of it, because of the fact in the United States chart, I could not figure out why Saturn and Neptune are moving together. They're transiting in the U.S. chart, the United States chart, and they're going into the 5th house. And I cannot figure out for the life of me. The 5th house is children. We have not begun to see the extent of this until Saturn. And that's going to be May 24th. I'm telling you guys this ahead of time, because of the astrology. May 24th, when Saturn, which is karma, moves into that 5th house in the USA chart, it's going all, here we go. Because we're going to see that what occurred down there, whoever was responsible and why they did it, I have an idea of why they did it, but I don't know. Of course, it's money. And yeah, nobody checked them. They make sure they're healthy. We're going to, yeah. And, oh, absolutely it was. Sure it is. Well, not only that, but think about this, you guys. During lockdown, we had to stand 6 feet away from everybody. People couldn't work without getting the vax. People were losing their jobs if they said it's against my religion, or I don't want to take it. I don't feel like I want to take it. They were losing their jobs, but yet the border was taking in 130,000 people a month without medical checks or COVID testing or shots that they pinned on everybody else to get. So it's stuff that can never happen here again. Not with these children. We got to find them. They've got to find them. But follow these guys on YouTube. They're a cute couple. They are the ones, and they have really gone viral. Actually, viral with this information since they fed Wiggins Wild World. Because people on the grid, people like to watch their videos. But when they started finding this stuff, they started going viral. And you know, on TikTok, a lot of people were not aware of what really was going on down there. And I get it, because we were being told repeatedly that they were closed. It's safe. But we knew better because JLR was going down there and filming it. And we were seeing the masses come in. So we knew it. We all knew it, but we were being told, again, something different. So I'm afraid that this is on their property, that they need to, I would bring in the dogs. You know, there's a lot of locals that are still very, very corrupt in these areas. I hate to say that, but there's a lot of corruption down there because of it is cartels. And I would just go directly to the top with this. That's exactly where I would go. But I would bring in a dog on my own. Somebody, a friend or a search and rescue. Texas EquiSearch is down there. I'd call them. They would come over, and I would definitely get a canine in that area because I'm just afraid of what is there. Now it's closed, though. It was. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of corruption that needs to be weeded out that live near the border, and it's crazy. Yeah, corruption. Lots of corruption. So I'm glad everybody, thank you for watching that. I'm thrilled that the DNA testing is back. I'm thrilled that we could honor Kayla in her life and her mother and honor the real victims of Maryland. That's a fact. Honoring the real girls of Maryland that were real victims. Rachel and Kayla, and then next week. But next week, I'm going to do the children that are missing in Nova Scotia, like Tammy said, the little ones. We'll get a mapping on them. Has anybody else got anything from the chat? Anybody else? I hear you, Lisa. Amen to that. You know what? I can't wait for Saturn to come roaring into that 5th house. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to look at the, make sure and check out on my Facebook stuff too, because I post astrology daily on there under Joni Templeton Skinner. We have a wild full moon in Scorpio. Now, let me tell you, Scorpio gets to the bottom of everything. They are detectives. This full moon in Scorpio is going to bust the doors wide open for June, July, and August. June, July, and August are really rocket astrology-wise. So be prepared for that. It's going to be like March. You know, March was crazy. April was crazy, astrology-wise. May is a little bit of a breather. But after this full moon, it's going to really rock. I'm telling you. I'm going to look at it more. I'll look at it tomorrow because it's a big one. It's a big one. And see, if you guys remember, we talked about China because Pluto is sitting on the China ascendant. Pluto moved into the ascendant of China. And the moon is sitting on China's ascendant, Aquarius. Do you know that there are a lot of uprisings going on right now? So we knew that was going to happen too with Pluto. Everywhere around the world that the astrology is hitting, it's everything that we're seeing, and we're seeing it like crazy. So we just got to get through it. Oh yeah, that's our Nova Scotia kids, right? Jack and Lily Sullivan. I'm going to start on that tomorrow, and definitely we're going to do that one next week, and then get to finish our other little bit with Maryland, and people in China are pissed. Yeah, they are. They're mad. You know what worries me. I am too, Denise. We got to stop it. We've got to stop it. It's got to stop. I've been screaming for 4 years. Ask Keith. I have not shut up about it. I have not shut up. In Nova Scotia, we will look at that. And great update. We got to stop it with the kids everywhere. We have to. But I'll tell you what's going to happen. The universe is going to stop all this. The universe is really rocking in 2025. Like I said today, I was working on a chart for a client, and I was looking up some of these upcoming transits that I've been talking about since last year that we haven't seen this. I went back with AI to 2000 BC. And AI cannot find some of these configurations that are up in the universe. So I think it's going to stop. There's just too much going up in the astrology world, and I don't want to fear base anybody because it's really good. They're very positive aspects, but boy, it's going to be rocky. We got to get through this, stay positive. And I agree with the AG. She came out and talked today and said, you have to know about who your children are discussing and talking to online because there are so many predators. They groom, they talk to these kids. The kids think they're kids. And, you know, that's what happened in Delphi as well. So we got to keep an eye. If you've got little ones, keep an eye on their phones. Be patient. It's coming in a good way. Maybe a little rough, but there's reasons. It's coming. It's written all over the astrology. There are shortages. Nurse said has been China the issue. I don't know. I got all mine. We're not hearing about it. No, they're mad because they're shutting down all their factories and they're not getting paid. And what happened with this last configuration of Saturn and Neptune together was, if you all remember, in 1989 was Tiananmen Square. So let's all pray for the people over there, because we all remember what happened at Tiananmen Square. So pray for their people, that they are uprising, that they remain safe, because we do know what happens to their people. We saw it. It was tragic. Tiananmen Square was 1989, and that's when the Berlin Wall fell. That we're in right now a transit when the Berlin Wall fell. The USSR, which is what it was known for back then, is now what we know as Russia. So that all happened. It's here. Mine aren't. You guys stay safe, stay aware. I'll let you know about the full moon. It's a good one. And I'll look at Nova Scotia. We'll get that information out, and we'll do that one next week. We'll say our prayers for the kids. And you guys stay safe. I got to keep updating on the old Diddy trial. But like I said, 2 days of jury selection, and I'm already sick of the Diddy trial. Diddy's got to go away. But you know, he's got a heck of a legal team, you guys. I'm not counting him out. I'm not counting him out. He's got a dream team. He's got a dream team. So we have to watch that one. So you guys stay safe this week. Stay happy. Vibe high. And thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks, you guys. Have a great week. And, this is so true. The truth will be revealed. It's coming. You can feel it. We're keeping a chemical that's required for making plastics from them, so they adjust their tariffs. Plastic is one of their biggest commodities. Oh, for work? That's interesting. Oh, they're meeting Saturday. It'll all be over with Saturday. I just put in a Shein order. It wasn't any more expensive. My Shein order is going to be on time. My Shein order, as long as my Shein order isn't affected, I don't care. Don't mess with Shein. Do not mess with Shein. You can mess with medicines. I don't care. Mess with it all, but you jack around with Shein, and I'm going to be ticked. Don't mess with Shein. We love Shein. And we love Temu too. But, they're meeting Saturday. It'll all be over. So, but that's it. That's pretty much in the stars too. It's going to be all right. Well, you guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. And I will see you next week. And Nova Scotia are kids. So be careful. Be safe, everybody.